Yeah. Morning all. So before I start, can anyone please confirm whether my voice is clear, whether the screen is visible or not? Yes.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Fine. So today I discuss about Python Software Foundation, right? Something about Python Software Foundation, PSF. You need to know something about PSF, the Python Software Foundation. It is a non-profit organization devoted towards Python community. This PSF, it was launched in the year 2001, almost more than 20 years ago, was launched. The main objective of this Python Software Foundation is to foster the development of Python, from version to version. That's why Python is one of the faster growing programming language, right? It is the faster growing programming language with a diversified number of applications creations, right? To, mm, in the year 2005, in the year 2005, Python Software Foundation received in the year 2005, PSF received Computer World Horizon Award. And the president for this, Guido van Rossum. Guido van Rossum is the personality who developed Python. The same personality, right, is the president for this. Yes. Yes. Headquarters. Where are the headquarters located? Headquarters, right? In Delaware, US. Official website for Python. Python.org. Python.org is the official website from where we can download, right? Yes. Non-profit organization devoted towards Python community. It was launched in the year 2001 to foster the development of Python. PSF received Computer World Horizon Award. Guido van Rossum, Delaware, US. Official website python.org. Okay. Now, Python versions. Before I go with the installation of Python versions. Python 1.x version released in the year 1989. Python 2.x version released in the year 2000. The version what we are using currently, 3 version, right? 3.x version. The first 3 version was released in the year 2008. Latest version of Python. 3 version only. In that 3 version, the latest version of Python. Python 3.12. Stable version of Python. Stable version of Python, right? It's Python 3.10. Stable version is nothing but mostly used version. Mostly used version, right? Yes. The version what we are trying to install now. Yes, 3.12, the latest version of Python, that is 3.12 will be installing, right? Yes. Python installation. Python installation, right? Yes. So observe, before I go with the installation process, go to this settings, apps, apps and features. Scroll down to the bottom right. Python 3.12. You can see this Python 3.12.2. Uninstall it. Uninstall. Excuse. So Python provides different softwares for different environments. For Linux, for Mac OS, for Windows. For Linux, no need of any installation. By default, Python comes as inbuilt within the Linux machine. Within the Linux operating system, Python comes as inbuilt. Directly you can use Python within the Linux, right? No need of any special installation. But in Windows or in Mac OS, we need to download and we need to install Python. Yes, for Windows, again, Python is providing two software for Windows, for 32-bit Windows and for 64-bit Windows. If anyone using older versions of Windows like Windows 7, Windows 8, if you have got 32-bit, right? So you need to download 32-bit Python software, and for 64, right? Is my voice audible to all? Once again, can anyone please confirm once?
Yes, sir, audible.
Yes, it's audible.
Yes.
I have a quick question. Can I ask?
Yes, go ahead.
Like why we are uninstalling this? It's already installed, right?
So now I'm uninstalling this. I'll be showing this from the scratch, right? How to download, how to install Python.
Acha, okay, okay.
So now I'll be showing you, right, how to. Before I go with how to download and how to install Python, first check whether your Windows is a 32-bit Windows or 64-bit Windows. So okay, now you are using 64, but if anyone using older versions, right? If it is 32-bit, how will you check? Right click on your file explorer. Just properties. 64-bit operating system. Clearly it is saying what? It's a 64-bit operating system, right? If it is, then you can download 64-bit Python software. If your operating system is a 32-bit one, you are supposed to download 32-bit Python software. Now I'll show you. Where
I
can you
think
see,
it's audible to me.
where can you see
Not
32-bit?
sure if it is. Just one minute.
Manish Sharma, am I audible to you? Manish Sharma, not able to hear me? Okay, 1 second. I think it's not audible. Uh, okay, 1 second. So whenever you join the meeting, try to select that computer option, right? Sound options, computer, laptop. Okay, fine. So here it is showing 64-bit operating system download. If it shows 32-bit, where can you download that 32-bit or 64-bit Python software means? What is the official website of Python? Just now I said official website of Python. Python.org. Just open browser and say python.org. Python.org. Python.org is the official website for Python where we can download Python softwares and also see the documentation of Python for each and every Python release. Can you see the documentation for each and every Python release? You can see the documentation and this downloads. You can see the downloads. You want to download all releases. Download all releases. Yes. Now am I audible, right? Manish Sharma.
Yes, very clear. Thank you.
Yes. Fine. So yeah, so go to python.org website. In that, go to downloads folder. In the downloads folder, you can see all releases of Python. We click it and just scroll down. After clicking it, scroll down. You'll see active Python releases. Don't go for it. Scroll down still. Looking for a specific release. You're looking for a specific release, right? Yeah. You can see the Python versions from the last 20 years here. From the last 20 years, what all the Python versions, right? All those you can view here, right? Python 2.0 in June 2, from June 2021, 2001 onwards, right? Yes, 2001, from the last 22 years. So the version what I am selecting is latest one, February 6, 2024. Just 2 weeks ago, there was a version released 3.12.2. Just click that, just click it. That gets open. 3.12.2 gets open. And if we can scroll to the bottom of the page, you can see the files. Can you see the files here? For if you have got Mac OS, 64-bit universal installer. For Mac OS, for Windows 32-bit and 64-bit, it is showing right clearly here. 32-bit and 64-bit. So most of that, if you have got 64-bit, you can say 64. If it is 32, so 64-bit, you click it. Just if you click this 64-bit, your download started here. Can you see here? Download just 25 MB of size. 25 MB of size. It hardly takes 1 minute to install Python. So download is completed. So just click on that exe file or go to downloads folder and click that exe file. Yes. Don't immediately go for installation. Most of you do mistake here. Okay, Python will be installed. Python might be working now. But later, Python has got thousands of modules. 89,300 modules are there. During the modules installation, every time, see 89,300 inbuilt modules Python has got for different environments. Like all those modules you are not going to get along with this installation. Only commonly used modules you are going to get. For example, data science related modules, big data related modules, database related modules, you are not going to get along with this Python software. Later, we are supposed to download and install separately one by one module because everybody won't be using all the thousands of modules, right? Whichever module required that you download and install. Hardly that also takes less than 1 minute to install. Any module, it also takes less than 1 minute. Later, I say how to install any specific module related to a particular domain, like data science or big data or database related module. How can we install? So, but here only like specific modules, that to hundreds of modules only you'll be getting, not all the 89,300. If all the 89,300 modules, if are included in this package, in this installed package, the size of this won't be like 25 MB. So based on the requirement, so everyone, so people use Python for different purposes. So different purpose based you need to install. If you are using for data science related models, you will install. If you are for plottings and visualizations, those models related models you will install. For big data, those related modules. For database, the specific database related models you will install. Okay. Now, before you go with the installation, at the bottom, you can see add Python to path. So generally in Java, you should have seen path settings or manually you will do everything. But here, just select it, automatically the path will be set. Add Python to path means this Python is going to be added to the path variable of OS. Select it. Don't forget it. If you forget, you need to set that path manually. Go for customize installation. Go for customize installation test. Here, nothing to select. Everything are pre-selected. Documentation, the pip, ideally test suite. So documentation of Python, what is new and what are the things which are removed from the old versions, it will say. Pip is something which will download and installing the Python packages or modules. I said, right, using this pip only, we will be downloading and installing any Python modules. So it is saying, for instance, which can download and install the Python packages or modules. And ideally integrated development learning environment, right? Where we can type the Python code and execute this ideally. Test suite and PyLauncher. So nothing to select here. Just say next. Say next. Here also nothing to select. See that this is important. Whether this is selected or not. Python to environment variables. Add Python to environment. It has to be selected. Now it is asking the location. Can you see at the bottom? Installation location. Most of you skip this and just directly will install. But what happens tomorrow if you want to install any Python module, this very big path, you can see a very big path where the Python is getting installed in C, users, Dell, app data, local programs, Python. You need to enter into all these subdirectories. If you want to locate Python where it is installed, you need to enter into all these subdirectories. But I doesn't want this big path. Every time I cannot keep on typing this big path, right? So just I'll keep the mouse before this 312 and remove all this. Just install Python in my C drive. Just install Python in the C drive. That's it. See, Python 312 means 3.12 version. Python 312, a folder is going to be created. A folder is going to be created in your C drive. In that 312 folder, Python gets installed. Now just say install, hardly takes 30 seconds to install Python, right? Python can also be installed in your smartphones. So go to your Play Store and say Python IDE, Integrated Development Environment. In your Play Store, in your smartphones, say Python IDE. You will get many IDEs you can download, install it, and you can write your code and execute the code in your smartphones also. And those who wants to install Mac OS, right? That is in Python within the Mac OS, select Mac OS Universal Installer, right? So almost done with this installation process. Let us check whether it is properly installed or not. Okay, setup was successful. Close it. Close this, right? Yes. Okay. Now, whether it is installed properly or not, go to this bottom search panel. In the search, type CMD to go to the command prompt, say enter. Just to go to the command prompt. Python has to be recognized from everywhere, from anywhere within your system, right? So whether you are in C drive or D drive, any drive, if you just type Python, it has to be recognized. So recognizing means it has to display the Python version now, and this Python interpreter has to get opened. Whenever you say Python, can you see the Python version that we have installed? It is this, the three arrow symbol is nothing but where we can type the Python code. Interpreter. This is interpreter where we can type Python code and interact with Python statement by statement. Any valid statements you can type, right? Yes. X as 10, Y as 2, X plus 2. X into 3 prints hello for 3 times. X into 5 prints hello for 5 times. So here in this way, you can interact with Python. Yes, it's working fine. Say quit comes out of this interpreter. So Python installation. So that is installing within the Windows. In Linux, I said no need of any installation in Linux environment. Observe. Mm, in Linux, if you are using older version of Linux, then older version of Python will be available in it. So if you want the latest version of Python to be installed in your Linux machine, then in Linux, everything you need to install from the root user. So say sudo apt-get install Python 3.12. That's it. This command will automatically download and install Python in your Linux machine, the latest version, right? The next, Python execution modes. Python execution modes, we have got two modes of execution. Two modes of execution. Two modes of execution, right? Interactive mode and batch mode. Second is like batch mode. Interactive mode. Here we directly type Python statements on the interpreter. We directly type Python statements on the interpreter, and the user can easily interact. User can easily interact with Python. We directly type Python statements on the interpreter, and the user can easily interact with Python statement by statement. For every statement, it gives response, right? Yes. Advantage. What is the advantage of interactive mode? Just now we have discussed, right? Statement by statement, we type and interact. To test the functionalities of Python, and to learn Python. If it doesn't know about any Python functionality, you can type, and you can check, right, what output it is going to provide. In the interactive mode, you can type any Python functionality and check where output it is going to provide. Yes. And for learning Python as a learner, right, this interactive mode works better. Yes. Just 1 second. sorry, interactive mode, we directly type statements on the interpreter and interact with Python statement by statement. But to develop applications, right? To develop applications in Python, this interactive mode is not preferred. We go for batch mode. Batch mode means here we write batch of statements, set of statements. We write set of statements within the editors or IDEs. Editors or IDEs. We write some statements, set of statements, and save it by using .py extension and save it .py extension and later submit it to Python and later submit it to Python, right? Yes. Okay, what are the various editors where we can write the Python code and what are the various IDEs, right? Various editors first. Various editors where we can write the Python code. In the Windows environment, we use like a Notepad, Edit Plus. We can use this Notepad and Edit Plus. Notepad and Edit Plus. And in the case of Linux, we use VI and Nano. VI and Nano, right? Various editors, Notepad, Edit Plus, VI. For the Windows, Notepad, Edit Plus. For Linux, VI and Nano editors, where we can write the .py files, where we can create .py files. Various IDEs. In real time, we use this IDEs, right? Integrated development environments. So Python provides various IDEs for different environments, right? Different IDs are preferred. So like PyCharm, PyDev, Komodo, Spider, Eclipse. PyCharm, PyDev, Komodo, Spider, Eclipse, NetBeans, Jupyter Notebook. VS Code. So these are the various IDs, right? Among all this, PyCharm is the mostly used or mostly preferred ID, right? It is a licensed one. PyCharm is what? A licensed. In that again, two are there. In PyCharm, it provides two: professional version and community. Community is free, but professional is licensed. So you can ask why these many IDs for Python? Why not one or two? Python is used for different environments. Different environments use different IDs. For example, data science. They go for Jupyter Notebook. Spider is mostly preferred. Even for big data also, Spider is mostly preferred. Jupyter Notebook. For typical web applications, PyCharm is mostly preferred. VS Code is preferred, right? Yes. So depending upon the environments, yes. I'll be showing you how to download these IDs, how to install, how to write the code, and how to execute the code within these different IDs. I will show you in all these IDs, right? Yes. Now, developing the first Python application, within a editor. Developing the first Python application within a editor. Example like Notepad. Developing the first Python app within an editor, right? It's Notepad. Open Notepad and type the following. Open Notepad and type the following Python statements. Yes. So as of now, we didn't discuss anything related to Python, right? So just I'll take two values like x as 10, y as 20, right? I want to perform some kind of arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay, I'll just copy this to a separate notepad file, right? I'm pasting within the notepad, right? File, save. Python 8am, that within the time saving it as sample1.py extension. Any name we can give with the .py extension. Just I'm writing a small Python code statements, two values and performing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Save it as. So I saved as any name with .py extension. Now submit this file to Python. Now submit this file Python as. Now open this command prompt. Open this command prompt and type Python here. Don't say enter. If you say enter, it will go to interactive mode. Just type Python and submit your Python file. Where is present? Where the file is present in C drive, there is a folder we have created, Python 8am batch. Within this Python 8am batch, what is the name of the file? Sample1.py. The file name, the folder name, and the drive. In where is the entire path we need to provide, right? If you say enter, you will get that output 10 plus 20, 10 minus 20, 10 into 20, 10 by 20. Yes. So just Python and specify the path of the Python file. Okay. Save, write some code in .py and create and save it as .py within the notepad. Save it in some folder, give that file name, folder name, right? To Python, right? Yes. Now, what is your observation here? Here, we are writing the code. We are writing the code at one place. We are writing the code at one place. Where you are writing within the notepad. And executing at the other place. And executing at the other place. Where you are executing within the command prompt. But I doesn't want that. But to write and execute at the same place, to write and execute within the same place. We have IDLE. We have IDLE. We have ideally, right? Yes. Using which write and execute within the same place. We have ideally, which comes along with Python installation, which comes along with Python installation. Using which we can write and execute. We can write and execute. Okay. Ideally, right? Ideally, we can write and execute within the same place. So how to open this ideally? Integrated development learning environment. Ideally, right? Where we can open and how to open it. Directly in the search, you can type ideally. In the search in the bottom, you can type IDLE. You can see like Python, ideally Python 3.12. You can click it. This Python shell gets opened. This is one way of opening. Directly you can say search ideally you can type. You can get this. Or in the start programs, where exactly it is available in the all installed apps. Go to that all installed apps where your applications go to Python 3.12. If you click ideally, the first thing what we see is ideally. Click it, Python shell gets opened in this way. If you want to interact statement by statement, that also provide here 3 plus 4. In a valid Python statements, you can type and interact. But I doesn't want this interactive mode. I want a batch mode. File is there, right? File, new file. Here you can write your code and execute your code. X is 10, Y is 20, print X plus Y. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Save it. Sample2.py extension, right? Execute. Now here itself we can type, here itself we can run module. Just check here 10 plus 20, 10 minus 20, 10 into 20, 10 by 20. Once again, here itself we can write the code. Here itself we can see run option, right? Yes. No need to specify the path of the file. So how to open this ideally? Just type ideally in the search. And if you say enter, it gets opened. So here you won't see the run option. This is interactive mode. If you say file, new file only, you can see this run option. You can type your code and run your code. Before that, you need to save your code. Right? Yes. Later, I will be showing you about how to work with IDEs, right? Once we are done with little bit of technical content, later I'll show you how to work with IDEs. Okay. Just entering into the technicals of Python, just I discuss about data types. Data types, right? Just I'll take 10-15 minutes more. Yes. Data types, right? Every organization, if we talk every organization use case has got data and operations, has got data and operations. Data represented Data represented using data types or variables. Operations represented using functions. Data represented using data types or variables. Operations represented using functions. Okay, take example of any organization. Take the example of a bank. Observe this. Take the example of a bank, right? Bank consists of customers and employees. Customers have got data and operations. Data represented, data means like the customer name, account number, balance, 90,000, right? In this way, data represented using data types or variables. Operations represented, operations, right? Like a deposit operation, transfer operation, withdraw operation, represented using functions. And if it talks employees also has got data and operations. Employees also has got data and operations. Data like employee ID, employee name, salary, designation. In this way, data represented using data types or variables. Employee ID 101, employee name, some Rahul, salary, some 60,000. Operations like calculating tax, calculating net sal, right? These things, operations using functions. About functions we discuss later. Now data types are variables. Data types are variables. If we see, discussing about these data types compared with C language or C++ or Java language with Python. Python supports dynamic data types. Python supports dynamic data types. Python supports dynamic data types, right? So in the case of C, C++, Java, x as 10, if you want to define a variable like x as 10, compulsory you need to define the data type, right? Index. You want to say y as 4.5, compulsory you need to say float y. Z equal to hello, right? You need to compulsory say string z. So observe here, right? X, Y, and Z. Compulsory without this data type defining, we cannot create the variables X, Y, Z. But in Python, directly I can say X as 10. Directly I can say Y as 4.5. Directly I can say Z as hello. What kind of variable X is here? Based on the data type defining, it is we are saying integer variable created. What kind of variable Y is based on this data type defining? It is what? A float. What kind of variable Z is based on this data type defining? Is a string type. But in Python, what kind of variable X is means what value you have assigned to it. If you are assigned a integer value, integer variable getting created dynamically, right? Yes, during runtime. So there is a function given by Python, type function, type of X. Type of X is integer. Why it is integer? Because you have assigned a integer value to it. Type of Y is what type? float type. Why it is float? Because you assigned a float value in Python. Whatever value based on the value assigned, the variable is going to get created dynamically. Type of y is float. Type of z is what type? String type. Type of y, type of. So, yes. What value you are assigning, right? Based on the value assigned, the variables are created dynamically. So there is a function type function to know the type of a variable in Python. Why it is float? Because you assigned a float value. String here because you assigned a string value, right? Based on the value assigned. So just I take 5 minutes more. So here to make you understand much better about this data types in Python, just observe this. I'm going to discuss 4 cases here. Case 1, whenever you say x has 10, one object is created with value 10 with some address. The address is given to x. Understand here, whenever you define x equal to 10, internally one object gets created with value 10 with some address. What x is storing? Don't say x is storing 10. X stores this address. Whenever we say print x, means it goes to this address and prints whatever value available that it is going to print. Print x means prints the content. Prints the content at that address. Prints the content at that address. What is that? 10. It goes to its address and prints the content, whatever presented it. If I want to print the address where exactly it is stored, there is one more function given by Python, id of x, address of x, prints the address, address of x 103070. There's one more function called type function, type of x, prints the data type of x. What is that? Prints the data type of x. Prints the data type is what type? Int type. As you're assigning an integer value to x, gives integer value is stored by x. Integer value stored by x. So understood, printing the content, printing the address, printing the type. You need to understand these 3 things, right? Prints the content at that address, printing the address where exactly it is stored, type, printing the data type, right? Case 2. So from here on, right, I want the sessions to be interactive. Everyone, you can unmute yourself and try to give your responses through voice or through chat. Yes, case 2. Try to answer. X value is 10, y is 20. How many objects will be created here? Yes. How many objects will be created?
Two.
Objects.
Two
Two
objects.
objects.
Two objects. For 10, one object with some address. So for y equal to 20, one more object, some address. The address is given to x. This address is given to y. This is fine. Print. Try to answer. What is print x? 10. It goes to its address and prints whatever present at that address. If you want to print the address, we have got id function, id of x. What is that?
10307.
3070. And if you want to know what data type of x.
Type of x.
What type? Int type,
Integer.
because you assigned an integer value to it. Now try to say print y
20.
20. goes to this address and prints whatever content at that address. If you want to print the address 104090, type of y,
Int.
integer, right? Yes. Two different variables x and y with two different values 10 and 20. Two different objects gets created with two different addresses. Understood this, everyone?
Yes.
Now, case 3. In case 2, x value 10, y value 20. Two objects, two addresses. Case 3. Okay, here also x and y. X and y. Try to answer how many objects are going to be created here.
1.
1.
1 or 2, everyone.
1.
2 objects will be
It will be 2 because both are different.
1 only, I think.
2 object will be created, which is the value might change in future.
X and Y pointing to same object, 10.
Observe carefully, here only one object is created. First x equal to 10, one object created with some address, that's fine. Before creating object for y, it checks any object with value 10 if it is already available in the memory. One more object it won't create, the same address will be given to y. If x value 10, y value 10, z also 10, don't think 3 objects with 10, 10, 10 will be created in the memory. No, only one object, that address is given to x. Means if the values are 10, same, only one object. If values are 10, 20 and 30, how many objects?
3 objects.
3 objects. If 10, 20, 30, 3 objects.
3 objects.
But here 10, 10, 10, only one object, one address. Means this x, y, and z, they are sharing the same content and the same sharing the same address. So if you say print x or if you say print y or if you say print z, they are printing the same thing. What is it?
10.
10. Print address of x, address of y, address of z going to be the same. They share the same content and the address. Understand here? If the
Yes.
contents are same, only one object. If the contents are different, multiple objects.
Multiple objects.
Case 3. Now go to the case 4. Here x and x only, not xy. How many objects here?
2.
2 objects.
X is 10 and 20 also, one more object with some address. Up to here it's fine. But if I say print x, what is the x value it prints? 10 or 20 or both?
20.
20.
It always prints the
Latest.
Latest
value.
one.
It always prints the latest value, right? Yes. Print x means 20. It prints the latest value. Okay, it prints the latest value. Print address of x. 104090.
4090.
Is there a second time if I execute also it prints 20 only. Third time if I execute also it prints 20 only. 10 times if I execute it prints 20 only. Is there any possibility of printing this value of 10? What happens to this object? Is it
Will be
available? Not
got
available?
It got replaced with 20.
Understand, to know what happened to this object to 10. There is a small concept you need to understand. Garbage collector. You need to understand about garbage collector. So it's too early to discuss this garbage collector. So just I'll give overview as of now. Later we discuss in brief with multiple examples later during this. So for a understanding, to make you understand what object, what happened to this I'll go back to this case 3. I'll go to this case 3. Garbage collector. What it does? Removes. Garbage collector removes unused or unreferred objects. It removes unused or unreferred objects from the memory. Garbage collector removes unused or unreferred objects from the memory. You may ask, what do you mean by unused or unreferred objects? What do you mean by unused or unreferred objects? Objects whose reference count becomes 0. Object whose reference count becomes 0, we call them as unused or unreferred objects. Then these objects immediately removed from the memory. Then these are immediately removed from the memory by the garbage collector automatically. Try to understand this. What do you mean by unused or unreferred? Means object whose reference count becomes 0. We call them as unused or unreferred. These objects are immediately removed from the memory by the garbage. You may ask, what is reference count and how it becomes 0? What is reference count and how it becomes 0? Reference count nothing but number of variables pointing to an object.
Yes.
Pointing to an object. Or another way, number of variables storing address of an object. Now observe this. Number of variables pointing to an object will give the reference. Now this is an object 10. Can you see this is an object 10? How many variables are pointing to this?
3.
3.
3 variables x, y, z are pointing to this. X is pointing, y. So what is the reference count for this?
3.
3. Because 3 variables are pointing. Understood what is reference count?
Mm-hmm.
Number of variables pointing to an object will give the reference count. And it says when reference count becomes 0, that object is going to be removed by the garbage collector. You need to know how this reference count becomes 0. Slowly, I am modifying the x value, right? Slowly, I am modifying that x value. So more slowly, I modify this y value to 20. Slowly, I modify. Yeah. A new object is created with some address. The address is given to y. The address is given to y. Now y is pointed to the new object. Y is not pointing to this object 10. Previously, y was pointing to 10. Y is pointed to the new object now. What is the reference count of this object? Now. What is the reference count of this object now?
2.
Only x and z only are
Z.
pointing. X and z were only pointing now. Now y is pointed to the new object. Slowly, I modified the z value also to 30. A new object 30 is created with some address. Now z is pointing to the new object 30. Now z is not pointing to this. Z is not pointing to this. Z is made to point to the new object. What is the reference count now?
1.
Because only one variable x is pointing to the object now. Previously, 3 were pointing. Now only one x is pointing to this object. Slowly I modified the x value also to 50. A new object 50 is created with some address. The address is given to x. Means now x is made to point to the new object. Now x is not pointing to this. X is not pointing to this. Reference count is what?
0.
0. No variable is pointing. No variable is pointing to this. No variable is referring to this. Reference count is 0 means it is unused or unreferred. It is unused by any variable. Reference count becomes 0. No variable is pointing. Immediately garbage collector removes this object from the memory because it's unused or unreferred. As reference count becomes 0, immediately it gets removed from the memory by the garbage collector. Understood everyone? Hello?
Yes.
What is garbage collector? What do you mean by unused or unreferred? What is reference count becoming 0? What is reference count? Number of variables pointing to it. How the reference count decreases to 0 and how the object gets removed by the garbage. It is just an overview of garbage collector. Later we discuss in brief in depth about it, right? Now, based on this understanding, go back to this case 4, right? Case 4. Now try to answer what is the reference count of this? What is the reference count of this object? Forget about x equal to 20 for a while. X equal to 10 is available. What is the reference count of this object to 10?
Right. 1.
How many variables are pointing? Yes, everyone need to respond, right? I want the session.
1.
1.
1. Because only one variable is pointing to it. Slowly, x is made to point to the new object 20. X is pointing to that. Now, x is not pointing to this. What is the reference count now?
0.
0. Means reference count 0 means it gets removed, right?
Yes.
I was asking you a query. Whenever you say print x, always it prints 20 only. What happens to the previous object 10? What happens to it? It gets removed by garbage collector. Right. Yes. Understood, right? So today we have discussed about Python software foundation, Python versions, Python installation, Python execution modes, developing the first Python application, right? And introduction to data types, how exactly the variables are defined, how we can print its value, how to print its address, how to print its content. See these 4 cases, whatever I discussed today, this one. Case 1, printing its value, printing its address, printing its type. And if you see this case 2, 2 different variables with 2 different values, 2 different objects, 2 different addresses. You see this case 3. If the values are same, only one object, one address. So all these 4 cases I'll show you practically tomorrow in the tomorrow's class, right? I'll show you practically about all these 4 cases followed by the different types of data types, right? Fine. Tomorrow you can attend the session same time at 8 o'clock using the same link, right? But from day after tomorrow, the link is going to be changed, right? You can attend tomorrow's class. I'll be discussing more on these data types variables. Yes. But from day after tomorrow, the link will be changed. You are supposed to get enrolled. So you'll be getting the link to your mail IDs. So that the enrollment process you can see in the chart, you can copy that message, right? And even you can see the course content details. And yesterday video also available. Can you see yesterday video they have forwarded in this chart? Demo video, right? That link is given. You can copy that link for Python web development, Python course content, and that total payment details, and that contact details of the online team. Yes, everything. Okay. As I said, tomorrow, okay, from day after tomorrow onwards, daily you will be getting the video to your Google Drives. Daily one video you will be getting, right? When the class completes now, within 2 hours of time, you'll be getting the video to your Google Drives. And notes also you'll be getting, right, to every day or every alternate day, the notes will be forwarded. And WhatsApp, day after tomorrow, a WhatsApp group is going to be get created. And later, once we enter into the topics, you'll be given assignments tasks to work with to get command on this coding, right? Yes, and I want the sessions to be more interactive, right? Everyone try to respond. Whether your answers are correct or wrong, keep responding, right? I want the sessions to be more live, more active, right? Fine. Any queries from your side? So clear,
No, for now.
clear notes, everything I'll be forwarding, right? So installation process. So try to install your Python on your systems. Just hardly it takes 1 minute to install Python, right? Fine. So tomorrow just we enter into the more technical. So we'll be seeing some coding part tomorrow. Looks very simple like normal English statements, right? So if I'm done with your queries, if there are no other queries, so whenever you get any query during the session, immediately you can unmute and you can ask your query through voice, or you can type that query in the chat panel. Fine. Okay. So fine. So I'm stopping for it. We'll continue tomorrow, same time at 8 o'clock with the same link tomorrow, right? Yes. Thank you all for your time. Meet you tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.